I was laughing. I happened to look at one of the videos I made with this radio. This is the realistic 12-655 TRF long distance radio. And I noticed when I was disassembling it after doing an unboxing that I was spinning the screwdrivers production mode. See, I used to do assembly work. That's why I turned the screwdriver the way I did in the video. Most people turn the screwdriver from the handle. When you do production work, you balance the screwdriver. Go watch how I do it. And the boss sees that, man. He comes by you and he sees you popping them screws in. Now, in that case, I was taking them out. But you're popping the screws in, and then you come back with the handle and tighten them down. But in a lot of assemblies, sometimes eight bolts or eight screws had to go in the same time. And I told you, it was a sweatshop, but he used to give me a decent bonus. And the bonus, if you figured it out, it came out to maybe almost $2 more an hour when you added the bonus for the period of time. He gave a bonus twice a year. Christmas, Christmas, and also summer vacation. He would close the shop down for 2 weeks, but I had to still come into work. I would do maintenance on the building, painting, putting in a new speaker system, whatever. So I just want to show you, that's why I turned the screwdriver the way I do. That's, man, when you're doing screws for 8 hours a day. The other guys would be turning it by hand real slow, like they're tortoise nervosa, if you know what that is. All right, so anyway, I just wanted to tell you that this speaker is not rusted. This light, this LED light, puts out a weird spectrum, and it makes everything look weird. And I thought it was rusted. Now, you can see white powder down here. Some of that is battery acid, because the batteries did leak. It's also on this, not in the frame. This second half on this side, this is battery acid along that edge and on the inside. But this thing, I think, sat in a puddle of water in the cellar. So I use Q-tips and clean it up, and that's mold. Anyway, I also wanted to show you something you may never have encountered before. Here's the pointer. All right. Now the pointer, the way it's made, you can't just take it out of there. But on this radio, there is a section over here. If you move the pointer over to here, you can lift it out. All right. Maybe a little difficult for you, but that's for the people that notice the pointer is bent and it's making them crazy. All right. So we covered the speaker's not rusted. There is mold inside the radio, so it has to be cleaned. Some of the other powders and stuff I found was, let's get this in the frame here. There's a pad in here on this side. Yeah. There's like a dust pad on the slots for the volume control and the tone. And that's to keep stuff from getting into the radio through the front. And that is degraded, and that's floating around in the radio. Also, up here, this strip here, this is to hide the mechanism for the dial cord. So when you look at the radio, all you see is the dial needle, right? Needle, pointer. Okay, got it. So anyway, I just want to update this, and I don't have to break the melted points and get the front off. I think I'm okay because the black, there's no white part of the radio down where the mold is, so I can get to the mold, and the volume control down here hole. Make sure I'm in the frame. No, I'm not in the frame. Hold on. All right, now I'm in frame. This hole for the on-off switch, there's some like rust down in there. I'll have to check out. I don't know if the front panel goes that far down. Yeah, it's not the white part. It's a chrome piece that goes down. So I'll clean all this up, and the other matching beige part that has the same amount of mold inside of it, battery acid, and that's where the battery packs are. But I'm taking this thing a little at a time because I told you I have to I have to work on something every day, and just a few minutes. I might just look at it and do an evaluation. Now, what I want you to do is go watch Shango 66. He does radio repair. Go watch his latest video. He got one. He got a bunch of radios from a TV store or whatever, or a friend of his. That was last week's episode. Now he's taken one of, and he realized that the radio has had a restoration done on it, and he comments several times about the chassis being wire wheeled, and I try to use an eraser, and that's because an eraser is not conductive. So any of those little filings get away from you, they don't cause a problem. But anyway, the person took out the main tuning capacitor and unsoldered a wire from it and put the thing to the side. Now when they put the tuning capacitor back down on the radio, on the chassis, the wire, instead of putting it through the hole and soldering it onto the oscillator coil, the local oscillator coil, it got bundled up underneath. And Chango also found the guy rewired the radio, and one of the wires, he didn't run it to the terminal. He ran it to the it's the bottom, be like a rivet that holds the terminal onto the Bakelite. And he put it through there, and then he never soldered it. And that tube had no filament. And go watch it. But he has a different way of troubleshooting than I do. I use this thing. He does it a different way. He gets out an analyzer, but I showed you this before, and it doesn't want to open right now. But it's got a blocking oscillator inside, and this is the equivalent of a PS2, PS1, S1, an ICO kit years ago. I bought it. It was inside a flashlight case, and you press the button, and you are the ground. And there's a capacitor. It's safe. And you go along the stages and you beep. And that's what I was doing when I first got the radio. But I'm going to tell you, I did not hear it when it was working. Only when it was louder. My hearing's gone. But when I played the video back, I could actually hear it was working. But I got lucky and figured out that the volume control. Now, the volume control, let's see if it's down low on the radio. Yeah, the volume control could have got water in it. Yeah, it's down low on the radio. Let me think about this. Yeah. The volume control goes low on the radio. The slots are here. So there could be some rust inside the volume control. Some water could have got in there. Some water could have also got in the on-off switch. But I don't care. This is a busy radio. This is to keep me busy. I work on a little bit of each day. I'm not going to rush it because I have the newer model of this radio. I have a Sony radio that's similar to this one. I have a whole bunch of long distance radio. I have the leather one. I don't know what number it is. It's I'm going to forget now. A GE, the one with the leather with the metal grill front. That thing, they call that the first super radio. It's built like a tank. I have that one, and I have Super Radio 1, 2, and 3. And the three is a real genuine GE. It's not an RCA one. GE and RCA, a lot of the things you buy, they could have either name on it. And at some point, the government tried to split GE and RCA up, but it still sort of was the same. Some of the television sets, when you opened them up, they said GE, but they were actually an RCA inside. It's you can get really into this stuff, and trust me, there are people that can memorize names and places and stuff better than I can, but they suck at repairing. All right? That's what I learned, man. I'll tell you, when I was in school, I wasn't that good of a student, but the last semester, the last test, or halfway through, you had this test, and it showed what you really did learn. You know, the other kids, they learned to memorize and regurgitate, memorize and regurgitate. So they'd memorize a bunch of stuff, take a test, do really well. But then you got your mid-semester test and your final semester. I always did good on those because what I did learn, I remembered. And my problem was if I wasn't interested in a certain subject, I didn't learn it. I was like, my brain would just shut down. And I tried to explain this to them. You know, Mrs. Bealis, my grammar school teacher, she figured out they didn't know what dyslexia was when I was younger, or they didn't know. I kept saying to them, look, when I look at the newspaper in the morning, the headlines don't make any sense to me. I kind of keep looking at it, the letters kind of, I won't say they move around, they change. And this other teacher figured out in 7th grade, I read so fast in my head that the difference between Mr. and Mrs. I didn't get. And this teacher slowed me down. Oh, what the hell was her name? Mrs. Lubin. She was she was an alcoholic. She died from her liver shut down. Really nice woman. Anyway, she slowed me down and then had me read. And at the end, I was going, Mr. and Mrs. Washington. And I'll never forget, I got a standing ovation in the class. You know, she had made like a breakthrough with me, showing me that my mind is reading too fast. And when I talk, you can sort of figure that out. And then I'll get a senior moment where I can't think of the word. That never happened before. I'm noticing it's getting worse. Also, I watched Taco Stacks. He garbage picks in Pennsylvania, and the amazing things he pulls out of the garbage. But I also noticed he's starting to have trouble finding certain words, and I sort of had that. The one neighbor was a lot older than me said, that's a senior moment. He goes, as you get older, that gets worse. And it does. And then sometimes I can describe the word to people, and then they can tell me what the word is, or what the meaning is, and they tell me the word. And then it's people's names. I'm really good, like that, the mill in RCA Building 50. The other day, the video. The guy was nuts. And I went in there for a job interview. I might not have released that video. Anyway, I went in for a job interview in part of RCA. And this guy, he had a sweatshop going inside a union company. And he says, I'm going to hire you. I said, I ain't going to work for you. I said, you got a sweatshop going here. I said, I'm in here. None of these guys have even looked up and made eye contact with me. He got really upset. And then I went to the other building. I didn't care. I was going to tell the guy at unemployment that sent me there that what's going on in that building. When I went to the other building, it was like I expected, and I got hired. It was pretty funny. I think I told the story a million times. Telling the big boss I needed a vacation. I was working since I was, I think, 16, maybe younger. I never had the summer off. And then when I got out of high school, I was going to tech school, and that guy, when he closed down, the guy in Woolway, he closed it down for 2 weeks, but I had to work. He goes, no, I want you in here painting. I got to get this done. You got to go out and blacktop the driveway. You got to go up and he bought the building, and I was doing all the maintenance work. And he didn't pay me extra money, and then I won't say he ever really did me any big favors. But after I didn't work there anymore, I'd walk across the street. And he'd go, what do you need now? I didn't work there anymore. I need some more wire. And he had tons of rolls of wire in the back because it was left over from jobs. And he handed me 2 rolls that still had some on it. He goes, here, this will do it. Okay, get out of here. I had fun. I mean, I put myself out there. Most people would say, oh, I'm not going back in there. Well, it was across the street from my house. I needed some wire. I'm working on a project. And I did put a burglar alarm in for one of his relatives, even though I wasn't working there anymore. And the kids, oh man, the kids had a fort up in the attic, and they freaking pulled all my wires out. I'm going nuts. And then I went up there. They didn't pay me anything extra to fix that. I won't even go into that. But anyway, I did get wire and stuff from the guy, even though I didn't work there anymore. And tie wraps. Oh, and shrink tubing. I was working in another company, and we ran out of shrink tubing. And I need to get this job out. So as soon as I come home from work, I went over there. He goes, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I need some shrink tubing." I knew just where it was. It was sitting there. It wasn't used. It was left over. I said, "This shrink tubing's been here for 6 years, the box. I can almost, Alpha? I think I'll go with Alpha, blue color Alpha letters. I need some shrink tubing. It's here. There's shrink tubing in that box." He says, "Yeah, this box been sitting here for," I worked here. I took some shrink tubing out, and I went back. Next day, I was able to get something out at McGraw-Edison because I now had shrink tubing to give everybody. We ran out. It's just the way stuff works. But pretty funny stuff. But I work on this a little at a time. And like I tell you, if I see something, like the pointer. Oh, I forgot to tell you this. There's three little cutouts in here. All right. Sometimes the string goes under one, over one, under one, over one, under one. All right. Pay attention when you take it apart. Take this pointer off, that you understand how those three little cutouts. Now, sometimes two of the cutouts go one direction, and the middle one goes the other. Not this one. This is the string goes under one, over the middle, and under the other outside one. And it forms like, if you look at it, it's like a gully. And you push the middle one down, and the other two up. Yeah, and that's how you tighten it. But you got to calibrate. You got to be able to move this pointer, and along with doing the calibration, you want the dial to read correctly with the numbers. You're going to move the local oscillator, and and I see them from here. There's these little capacitors that are across the oscillator. Remember, you want to go lower in frequency, bottom end, and get your pointer right. Then you go to the top end of the dial and use stations and go back and forth. You want more inductance on the bottom to bring it in, and then you go back to the top of the dial and retouch the capacitor. And I could show you real quick where they are. I think these are the ones where they are. We're looking from a distance here. Let's see if we can. Somebody's going to say, "Could you get to move it a little closer?" Okay, I'll move it a little closer. I got so many bolts. Let's get my chromie light. Let's see if we're in frame. Let's see if we're focused. Don't mind me. I'm looking. Okay. Let me just make sure I'm focused here. Okay. This is the local oscillator, and these are the two trimmers. And you want to calibrate. Go read up on calibration. That's what you really should do. Now, there are ones probably on this. And make sure one of these is going to go with this. And what it is you want the bottom end, and there's one over here. So you can really calibrate this radio good. And there is a write-up on it online. There's a lot of information on this realistic radio. I'm just showing you stuff that I see, and I want to tell you what I went through. And then I want to tell you that you're going to get one that's going to have the batteries leaked. Don't be surprised. When you're buying it, you might want to ask the guy, "Did the batteries leak?" And then he's going to say yes, and you're not going to buy the radio. See, that's how it works. I think that's it. All right, that's it.